be united. Rise, won't be divided. Rise, Spirit to guide us. Rise, together.
Don't know about you, but I have personally had it. The endless draconian lockdowns have simply gone on for far too long. I'm sick of these Democrat politicians, particularly Mr. DeBlasio and Mr. Cuomo. For far too long, these communists have been murdering New York's small business owners, particularly owners of New York's restaurants, in favor of corporations controlled by the globalists. They are constantly disrupting our normal way of life, dividing people, making endless absurd rules for our Thanksgiving and Christmas, perhaps the most important holidays for connecting with our family. They're not going to support family, jobs, or local business owners. They won't unify Americans or even allow basic forms of leisure, the things that give people happiness. Over 100 demonstrators met in New York City's Union Square, where a coronavirus-themed event was staged. The event featured guest speakers, performers, and ending with a mask burning.
The PCR test, which is the main test, it doesn't test for a virus at all. What that tests for is a sequence of RNA, which is genetic material. And the way they obtain that is also they take the impure sample, basically like the lung fluid in this case, from some people who are sick or possibly a throat swab, and they amplify short little sequences. And sequences that they're specifically looking for, mostly because they have this library of gene sequences of viruses. But the thing is, if you go back, they've always characterized them this way. So they've never once had a intact virus particle and then sliced it open and taken the RNA out and done a sequence from end to end. That's never been done. What they do instead is they take this impure sample and they look for specific sequence that they've pre-identified as being viral in nature from this database. And then what they're doing is amplifying these short little sequences, maybe 150 to 250 base pairs, and they're splicing them together into this one long strand of 30,000, which they say is the viral genome. But it's actually just this Frankenstein type of assembly of all these little pieces that we don't even have any proof they're related. They could even come from different types of cells or different creatures. And when there's gaps, they're basically using sequences that they get from that database of other viruses that are also put together in this Frankenstein type way. And they sew all those together, and say that this is the genome sequence of this virus. And that's the procedure. And they're testing for something from that, but we don't really know what it is, except it's most likely our own sequences. So that's why there's so many positive results, because they're essentially testing our own genetic sequences.
It's the fake news. Stop watching the mainstream media. They are not looking out for your best interest.
A psychotic. It's an absolutely insane regimen that has been invented by psychopaths. What is happening to the world has got to be stopped. There is no scientific basis. It is in fact exactly the opposite of what needs to be done.
Why should we not open to therapeutics? Why? Why are you so against vitamin D, vitamin C, yoga, spirituality, God, meditation, connecting with your family and your loved ones? You guys, this mask is a fraud. We are being lied to. We are being cheated. Guys, wake up. Wake up, America. Wake up, America. Wake up, America. Wake up, America.
Why was Black Lives Matter and Antifa allowed to protest and the media said absolutely nothing about the coronavirus? But the minute anyone went to the beach, the minute anyone united with their families, then they spoke about COVID. I told people, listen, none of this makes sense. And if the experts were serious, they would tell us about our immune system. But you know what? I see people going to McDonald's, pizza. I see people still drinking alcohol. I see people smoking all the time. This is not about safety. Health reasons and health concerns of masks and shutdowns have nothing to do with our health, people. Bill Gates is not a doctor, right? So if Bill Gates really cared about us, you know what he would do? Take some of your billions and give it out to the people that are struggling on unemployment and that cannot pay their rent, that had their businesses closed, that were standing for over 30 years and now they're closed. Meanwhile, he got richer, our son got richer, and people are still struggling, and nobody sees a problem with that. But yet you guys still have some people begging for shutdowns and lockdowns. What about our mental health? What about the domestic violence that's going up? Children that have gotten abused at home. Alcohol, drug addiction that's going up. Nobody talks about any of that.
You have to do what you're told. Do what you're told.
And that's what communists do to us. They take away our individual pursuit of happiness. And over what? A virus which has a 99% survival rate for all but our seniors? A virus where only the elderly and people with underlying conditions are actually at risk? And with symptoms that are similar, if not exactly, like the seasonal flu. Often based on tests which have produced many false positive cases. The lockdowns were never created in the interest of public health. Rather, they were created to enforce a form of social engineering where people simply obey and do exactly what they're told.
I was talking with our UK colleagues just today who were saying the UK is very similar to where we are now in outbreak because each of our countries have that independent spirit, but we don't want to be told what to do. Well, I understand that, but now is the time to do what you're told. And I think it really is something that we should be doing right now.
One of the primer sequences in the PCR test, according to the Pasteur Institute protocol, is an exact match for a sequence in our own human DNA on chromosome 8. So this is right here, the sequence of interest, okay? This 18-letter code, and it says it's from the rdrp gene in the virus. And so you can see Homo sapiens is human, chromosome 8. Look to the bottom of this, and it gives some references. Here's the actual sequence. So you could see those sequences match up perfectly. Since we don't know what the origin of this sequences that they're testing is, other than now we know one of them may come from our own sequences, like the human sequence, then there's really no way to calculate any accuracy. So I would say, you know, there's 100% error rate with this test.
This is a worldwide democide folded into a biosecurity paradigm. That's exactly what this is. And then we, those civil disobedient, are now the terrorists because we choose to be human and live and breathe. This is a cold virus. I had it. It sucks, but it's a cold virus. Why did the CDC stop counting the flu numbers? That's strange.
I'm having an identity crisis. On my hospital tag, it says that my name is Corona. Oh, wait a minute, but that's crossed out.
So how are you going to stop me now?
With the facts.
Oh, they won't listen to facts. They're all praying to be first in line for our bogus, nefarious vaccine.
But the mortality rate is still less than 0.1%.
Ridiculous.
Throughout history, conspirators have always attempted to rob the people of their freedom. One of the ways our founders were able to secure our freedom was by educating the people that their rights come from God. If God granted you your rights, a despotic government, a power-hungry monarch, or an out-of-control parliament couldn't take your rights away, not if your rights were granted by God.
This has nothing to do with health. It's all about control. This has happened in history. People just aren't recognizing it because they are so wrapped in the matrix that they are scared to wake up. But we, the woke, we are fearless. We speak truth to power. MLK did it, Jr. did it, and JFK Jr. did it. What happened to them? Well, you know what happened to them. See, the Gestapo's coming. and they will knock at your door. They'll be like, we'll shoot you in the head or you take our shot in the arm so we can control you, right? That's exactly what's going on.
You know, Governor Cuomo, Mayor DeBlasio, and the city council got raises. None of us have jobs. I don't know what's going on here. This guy just shutting our restaurants, shutting our business, raising our taxes. What do you want me to do? Not only are we out of work, he's just trying to lock us up in our houses. It didn't work the first time. You have 69,000 homeless people. What has he done about it? 20,000 homeless children. I have 97 suicides in my neighborhood. What am I going to do? I'm going to make lots of changes.
Back in October, the Next News Network released a leaked audio conversation of Governor Cuomo. On the tape, Mr. Cuomo admits his lockdowns were never based on science, but rather based on fear.
I don't disagree with you. And look, I'm 100% frank and candid. This is not a highly nuanced, sophisticated response. This is a fear-driven response. You know, this is not a policy being written by a scalpel. This is a policy being cut by a hatchet. It's just a very blunt. I didn't propose this, you know. It was proposed by the mayor in the city. I'm trying to sharpen it and make it better, but it's out of fear. People see the numbers going up. Close everything. Close everything. It's not the best way to do it, but it is a fear-driven response. The virus scares people. Hopefully, we get the numbers down in the zip codes, the anxiety comes down, and then we can have a smarter, more tailored approach. Your point is right. Why close every school? Why don't you test the schools and close the ones that have a problem? I know, but first, I don't know that we have the resources to do that now, but I can tell you honestly, the fear is too high to do anything other than let's do everything we can to get the infection rate down now. Close the doors, close the windows. That's where we are.
The real epidemic is fear.
Fear.
This virus is a mind virus.
That's right.
This virus has shut us down. It has shut us off from each other. It has confined our children to wear masks in school with no evidence whatsoever that this is helpful to them or anyone else.
One issue that strikes me as blatant child abuse is the fact that children are forced to wear masks in school. Not only is a child's airways smaller, making it more difficult to breathe through a mask, but these kids are growing up without being able to look at each other's faces. Parents know that this is not good for a healthy childhood development, but this new normal is brainwashing everybody.
We're waiting for a no lockdown protest in New York City, right? We've been waiting for it, but a lot of the ones that there have been in the city have always been politicized, and we really just want to emphasize the message, like, look, this is not about left or right. This is something that we're all enduring, and, you know, we're carrying this burden of these lockdowns, and this is the message that we want, just to bring people together because we're all hurting. All of us. We can't wait for someone to start it because no one's doing it, so we have to do it, right? And maybe if we, start it, then people will also look to themselves and be like, all right, we have to be our own saviors because there's no political savior. There's no, president-elect that's going to save us from this, or even our governor or mayor. It's us. We are the heroes. We are our saviors. We got to save ourselves, and we got to do that as a community.
Well, I, for one, am not going to take this crap anymore. And it's quite clear there are many New Yorkers who are every bit as angry. Anti-lockdown protests are growing rapidly, not just here, but all over the world. And it's refreshing to see Americans hold an event in the city that is probably the most insane COVID restrictions than anywhere in the country, in addition to a very fearful population. We need more anti-lockdown rallies in New York, and we need to keep sending a message to mobster Cuomo and Commie DeBlasio. We're mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore.